Being unemployed is not a reflection of your worth or capabilities. It is a temporary phase that many people go through, and just remember that your job title is not your identity. Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Steady Making It podcast. I am your host, Toby, the founder and creator of Steady Making It. I created this podcast to encourage you as you build a life that you love with intention, one step at a time. Thank you for being back. I know it's been a couple of months since our last episode, and there's a lot to catch you up on. First of all, it's crazy that it's almost the end of June. We're almost halfway through the year. I feel like it's flying by. Not gonna lie, this year has been a tough one, so I'm not sad that it's going by so quickly. Let me just give you a quick little catch up on how the year has been so far, where I'm at right now before we dive into today's episode. I started off the first 3 months of the year in Nigeria, where I'm from. So I was there like January, February, and most of March, just like enjoying family time, like just soaking in the good weather because I wasn't a New York City winter, to be honest with you. And also because I started the top of the year unemployed. My last day at my tech job was December 31st, so your girl was out on the job market. And I was like, okay, this job market's a little bit different from previous years that I've had to look for jobs. I was like, let me just take the start of the year to take things slow and really just take my time as I'm applying and like getting ramped up. And I had some like interviews and stuff like that, and I'll make it to the final round, and then I wouldn't get it when I get to the final round. So I was just like, what is going on here? So I just took that time just to stay at home, spend time with family while I was applying for jobs. And that's the theme for today's episode. We're going to talk about how to cope with being unemployed. So we'll get into that. The second catch up is that I took a break from content. So I was being very consistent with my content creation, my TikTok, most especially where I was posting basically almost every day for months and months. So I decided to just take a break because I was feeling uninspired, wasn't really liking the content I was making. I also wanted to be able to be very intentional about what type of content I was putting out. Like, what did I wanted to say about me? I was thinking about my personal brand because I do want to start getting like opportunities to work with brands and like get cool opportunities. So I was like, I need to be more intentional with the content I'm putting out so that I can make sure like this is an accurate image of Toby that I want my content to say. So I just took a step back, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think a lot of times we get told like you need to be consistent, you need to be consistent, you need to be consistent, which is true. But you want to make sure that you're consistently putting content out or work out that really reflects what direction you're trying to go into. So there's nothing wrong with taking a break and a pause to be like, let me actually stop and see if what I've been doing is actually a reflection of me and where I want to go. So there's nothing wrong with taking that break to any fellow content creators out there. Also, another update is your girl is turning 30. I'm turning 30 years old at the end of this month, 30 on the 30th. And I thought at this point I'll be doing a lot of like content and just reflections about my 20s and everything like that. But honestly, I've been in fight or flight mode. So I haven't had time to really reflect on how my 20s have been or like what lessons I've had. And I probably will make some time later. But I'm excited to be turning 30. I'm excited to be starting a new decade. I'm excited to continue to grow and evolve, and just like excited to see what opportunities I get, new friendships I make, like just to see what life has in store for me. I'm really excited about it. So I'll probably do another episode that's dedicated just to turning 30 and my feelings and thoughts about it. But I just want to let you know that your girl is turning 30 at the end of the month, and she's excited. I'm excited. Moving on to the topic for today's episode, which is how to cope with being unemployed. So, like I mentioned, my last job ended on December 31st. It is now mid June, and I haven't worked for about 6 months now. And a lot of people ask me, like, how have you been coping? Are you good? Are you okay? Like, what's going on? So, I want to share some tips that I've had that personally have allowed me to be able to cope, and hopefully they're helpful to you as well. So, let's get into it. First things first, remember that being unemployed is not a reflection of your worth or capabilities. It is a temporary phase that many people go through. So use this time to grow, learn, and prepare for your next opportunity because it's going to come. And just remember that your job title is not your identity. So that's just the first thing that I want you to keep in mind before we go into these strategies. Now let's get into the first thing. So first things first, have a set routine. So it's easy to want to like go to sleep late and wake up late because you don't have to wake up for work, right? But you want to make sure that you're still keeping that routine so that you don't create any negative habits that are hard to break off when you do start your new job again. So make sure you have a set time that you wake up on weekdays and on weekends and stick to it. So it means you're getting up to go to the gym, the time that you used to like meal prep, when you go for a walk, when you apply for jobs. Create a schedule for everything and keep that routine. I promise you, it'll help you feel productive. It wouldn't like have you feeling like lazy, like you're just on the couch watching TV. So definitely keep to a routine. Number two, now this might sound counterintuitive, but just hear me out. You want to create boundaries around your job search. Now, I know you don't have a job, so you're like, I want to spend every waking second of the day looking for a job, but that's not necessarily the right way to go about things. You want to have a set time that you're applying to jobs. So in the past, I would treat like applying for jobs like a 9 to 5. So from 9 to 5, I'll sit on my desk, I'll look at LinkedIn, look at job posts. I would redo my resume, work on cover letters, reach out to people in my network, letting them know I'm looking for a job. Every strategy that you need to find a job, I would do it through 9 to 5, Mondays to Fridays, and take my lunch break and things like that. So you want to set a schedule for applying to jobs. It doesn't need to be 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, like I did. You could say 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. every single day. But why it's important to create boundaries around your job search is so that it doesn't take over your whole emotional and mental capacity. If you're applying to jobs every single second of the day and thinking about it, it's really going to get you down, because if you're not seeing much progress, it's all you think about, right? So give yourself a set time that you're applying to jobs and create boundaries. Commit yourself to the hours that you dedicated to applying for jobs, and once that hour is over, go do something else. Trust me, it'll be much better for you in the long run. Number three, you can't talk about unemployment without talking about mental health, and you want to make sure you're doing what you can to protect your mental health. And this might look different for different people. Maybe you're someone that prioritizes physical health, and like working out and going outside makes you feel better. For some people, it's relying on their support system, spending time with friends, calling their mom, spending time with family, whatever it is that makes you feel good inside. You want to make sure you're prioritizing that every single day, because it can overtake your life when you're thinking about not having a job and bills, and then you get all anxious, and then you're sad and you're depressed, and then it just starts that cycle from there where you don't even want to get out of bed. So you want to protect your mental health and make sure you don't even get to that stage. So do what you can to protect your mental health. If you're seeing a therapist, make sure you keep seeing them if you can. If you're not seeing a therapist, this might be a good opportunity to start, so you just have an outlet for processing the feelings that you're feeling. A lot of people also want to safeguard themselves. Maybe being on social media is tough for them because everyone looks like they're having a good time because it's social media, right? And you're like, I don't have a job, I don't feel that way. So don't be ashamed if you need to take a break from social media until you feel like you're in a good place. So like I mentioned, whatever it is that you need to feel good on the inside, make sure you're prioritizing that while you're unemployed. And for number four, let's talk about skill development. So you're not working. This is the perfect time to upskill and develop those skills that maybe you didn't have time for when you were working your 9 to 5. So is there a new course you need to take? Is there a new certification that you've been wanting to take? Is there a new conference or something that you wanted to attend? Whatever it is that is giving you new skills to help you in future jobs, to help you find a new job, or maybe it's something not even necessarily related to your 9 to 5, but if you have a side hustle that you've never had time to work for, this is the perfect time to focus and commit to working on it, because where else are you going to have this time where you're not focused on your 9 to 5? So use this time while you're unemployed to develop new skills, to work on your side hustles, to connect with new people, to start a new hobby. This is the perfect time to try all those things. The next thing I'm going to talk about is part-time work. This is something that I considered as well while I was looking for unemployment. I was like, I'm going to go to a retail store and go get myself a retail job. And some people thought I was crazy. It's like, you're used to working the corporate life, like you're going to go work in retail. Yes, I'm going to work in retail. There is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing to be ashamed of. If you need to get temporary work, if you need to drive Uber, you need to do DoorDash, you need to go work in a store, whatever it is you need to do. Because first of all, it keeps you occupied. It gets you out of the house. Second of all, more importantly, you're getting money in. It might not be as much money as maybe you would be making if you were working a more corporate 9 to 5, but it's still something that can help pay the bills. So don't be ashamed if you need to go get yourself a temporary job or a part-time job anywhere. There's nothing wrong with that. Now we have to talk about money, because this is like the biggest fear that runs through your mind when you're no longer working, right? It's like, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to support myself? So this is actually something that I'm going to talk about now in this episode, but it's really something you have to start planning for before you're unemployed, which is creating that emergency savings plan, right? So while you're working, you want to make sure you're prioritizing putting money away before you spend money on a vacation, before you spend money on clothes. You want to make sure that you're putting money away into this emergency savings fund for situations like this where you lose your job, you get laid off, whatever it is. You want to make sure you're putting money away for a rainy day so that when you are unemployed, you're able to pull from that fund. So, me personally, that's how I was able to make do financially the last 6 months. I was using my emergency savings fund to be able to pay my rent and to pay my bills. And also during this time, you want to make sure you're being very money conscious and you're working with a budget. So you're cutting down how many times you eat out. You're not going on those trips. You're not shopping. Maybe for my girls, like the beauty appointments, you might have to space them out a little bit more. You just have to be very conscious of how you're spending money because obviously, like, no money's coming in. So you want to watch every penny that goes out. I want to take a look at all your subscriptions and cut down every single unnecessary one and really only just be spending on the basics. You have to make a lot of hard decisions. It's a really hard time, but that's just what you have to do, especially if you're living in a big city. You have to be really careful because those bills and expenses really do add up. And finally, the most important thing to do to cope with being unemployed is actually the hardest thing to do, which is to stay positive. You have to protect your mindset. You have to stay optimistic that you're going to find another opportunity. And trust me, I know what I'm saying. It's really hard. Like, there are so many times I'll be like, I'm never going to find something. I'm never going to get a job. This is so hard. The job market's so different. But you don't want to speak those negative words into your situation. You want to stay positive. You want to stay persistent. You want to say affirmations that you're going to find a job. You're going to find your next opportunity. It's going to happen for you. And while you're in the thick of it, it's hard to be like, how am I going to get out of this situation? I keep getting rejections. Y'all. I got like 2 or 3 rejections from companies yesterday alone. So it happens. But when that happens, you just have to be like, okay, that's fine. My next opportunity is coming. I don't know how, I don't know when, but it's going to come. So definitely stay positive, stay persistent. Don't be afraid to like rely on your support system. Maybe you're feeling down one day, the job search really been getting to you. Like, it's fine to just shut your laptop and go outside for the day or call a friend. Just let them know how you're feeling. The important thing to do is to stay motivated and every day keep getting back up. So you get a rejection, don't let you stay down too long. The next morning, wake up and apply to more jobs. And we can probably go into an episode talking about job search strategies because there are a lot of them. So let me know if that's something you'll be interested in learning, just like job search strategies, sort of strategies I've used that have helped me get jobs. But really, the most important thing is to stay positive, persistent, and motivated because I know that next opportunity is just around the corner for you. It's going to happen for you. I'm cheering for you and I'm rooting for you. And that brings us to the end of this episode, How to Cope with Being Unemployed. When you've been unemployed in the past, let me know what strategies you use to help you get through that time. If you have any questions or feedbacks about any of the strategy that I shared, please let me know. And if you're looking for a job, you need any advice about the job search process, or there's just something that you're not really sure of or aware of, let me know so that I can talk about it in the next episode. And message me, leave a comment, let me know how you're doing. I would love to send some encouragement your way as you're in your job search process. And like I said, I'm cheering you on, I'm rooting for you. Thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.